All right, welcome in, guys. What I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how I get my levels. We're going to start with the vertical line, and this is just to illustrate exactly where we go. So what we're going to do is we're going to focus on today's session, which is January 23rd, and how I get prepared for that. So I come back to the day prior, January 22nd, and I'm going to map out the New York session first. So the New York session is from 9:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time to 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay? And we're going to focus inside this area, okay? Nothing to the left and nothing to the right of these lines. We're simply going to take a horizontal line and we are going to place it at the height, the highest high that price was at, and we're going to put a horizontal line at the lowest price was at. And if we zoom in, we can see that price was at its lowest right here, okay? So what we're going to do is we're also going to label these guys. We're going to double click on these, and if you don't double click on them, you simply can click on them, click settings, and go to text, and then enter in text here, okay? So when we are in the New York session and we're looking for the high, I label it New York high, and this would be January 22nd, okay? So that is what we label that guy, and see how it shows up right here. And now same thing for here. We're going to label it New York low. That's the acronym I use for January 22nd. Now notice that they're labeled now. Now we're going to take our focus and we are going to focus on the very next time frame. So the next time frame we do is an after hour time frame. So from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. is the after hour session. So normally we do not mark this out at all. So I'm not going to take my time to mark these out. You're going to see that the acronyms are simply just after hours low and after hours high. The only time we mark these out is when there is a big sporadic jump in between here and here. So we see our Asian range and we see our New York range right beside it. If there is a massive impulse, we will mark those out. But in this case, there is just simply no volume, no movement, so no need to mark those, okay? So the next range we're looking at is the Asian range. And the Asian range goes from 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time to 1 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, okay? So there's not much action really going on here. So we're going to really zoom in to get a feel for where our highs and lows are. Now again, we are going to place a horizontal line at the very top. So right here was the top of the Asian range. And we're going to place a horizontal line at the low of the Asian range. We are then going to add text to this and name it ART for Asian range top. And this is going to be January 23rd. And now the reason I do January 23rd, even though we're still from 7 p.m. January 22nd, it's because the range closes 1 a.m. January 23rd. So that's why I label it that way. And then we're going to label this one Asian range bottom January 23rd. Okay? Now we're going to move these guys again. And next session is London session from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. Okay? Now, London session is open longer than that, but you're going to find out in a second why I label it this way. So we're going to take a horizontal line, and we're going to label where it's highest in between these 2 points, and we are going to label where it's lowest in between these 2 points, okay? We're going to label the bottom, London low, January 23rd, and we are going to label the top, London high, January 23rd. Okay? Now we're going to move our bars again, our vertical bars, to the next range. So 4 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. is the next range that we're looking at. And that is pre-market or pre-New York session. Okay, guys? So we are then going to mark those out. We're going to mark the low, and we're going to label this pre-market low, January 23rd. And then we're going to label the top. We're going to mark the top where price was highest and label that pre-market high, January 23rd. Now we're going to move our bars again because now we're looking at the session that we're actually playing in, which is January 23rd, New York session. And it goes from 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m., guys. And now this is how we use our levels. So imagine price was not here. This is how we use our levels as support and resistance. We come up to Asian range top, tests it, rejects it, tests the other levels, New York low and pre-market high, and bounces. Test the levels again, rejects, come back down to ARB, bounces, and now we're rejecting again. This is why we find these levels. This basically shows our range for the day. So that is how I get prepared for the day using all of the time range levels. And you can delete these vertical lines once you're done. That's just simply helping you find the levels, find the time ranges, and define them. Okay, guys? So I hope that helps everybody understand how we get our levels. Now, some people have been asking me something about, well, how do I find different levels, like older levels, right? Well, we start looking back. If we started breaking above these New York highs, January 22nd, you notice we don't have any levels up there. How do we find those levels? And it's as simple as moving up a time frame likely and scrolling back and finding when price was there last, right? So we know that it's here last. So we come and look for bottoms. And we know that this is 9:30 a.m. See my cursor down at the bottom? Notice the time. This is 9:15 and 9:30 a.m. So this is likely a New York low from December 18th. This is also another one. This is an after hours low from December 17th. So that is simply how you go back and find additional levels. When you're, looking for new levels, you just simply have to go back in time, find when price was there, use the same time range, the same time ranges that I was using just on any given day to find either the Asian range top, the London top, the New York low, New York high, pre-market low. And that's how we find our levels, guys. Hopefully that's clear and concise and you understand. Until next time, guys.